Carol Binks joins us from she's a disability rights campaigner. Carol, very good evening. How do you think people with disabilities are going to be reacting to the news today?
Hi, Ian. Well, people with disabilities and chronic illnesses are really, really concerned. And I'm really actually happy to hear what Jeremy's just said. And I agree with him entirely that without rules enforced by government, there's a huge potential for conflict, particularly if people are challenged for wearing masks, which I think there is potential for. And the other thing from a chronic illness and disability perspective is the government talks as if you're not hospitalised by COVID, then you're okay. You know, that you're either hospitalised and you die, or you don't because presumably you've had the vaccine. But there's a huge issue of long COVID. And people with many chronic illnesses, particularly illnesses like ME, MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome, and POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which are more common than you might think. You might not have heard of the names. But people with those illnesses report that symptoms began with a virus. In many cases, my own did, with viral pneumonia 14 years ago. And the symptoms of these illnesses are, in many cases, the same symptoms that people are reporting with long COVID. And there is a great danger to people with chronic illnesses of deterioration if they do get COVID and they do get long COVID. And long COVID definitely is an issue. The government knows that it's an issue because NHS England have reported that the government is spending £100 million on long COVID services, and that includes 15 new paediatric hubs for children as young as 2 years old. So it's not a case of, you're either hospitalised or die or you get better. People with chronic illnesses are very concerned about getting long COVID. It's a considerable issue. And the fact that people aren't going to be wearing masks or will have a choice to wear masks, as has already been mentioned, it's actually that you wearing a mask protects other people the other way around, not the other way around. So
exactly, but the trouble is, listening to you talk, you make some very, very valid points, but at some point the government has got to lift the restrictions. Now, we can have a debate whether it should have been June the 21st, whether it should be July the 19th, whether it should be August the 5th, which I think is happening in Scotland, or whatever. And there are always going to be people who say, well, no, the government's done it too quickly, or they should have done it weeks ago. Do you have any sympathy for the decision makers on this? Because there are loads of businesses that are already on the brink of going out of business, and they generally, I was actually slightly surprised by Jeremy's comment there, but I would have thought most businesses will be heaving a huge sigh of relief that they will be able to open normally from 2 weeks' time.
Well, I absolutely agree that we will have to open up normally at some point. But at the moment, infections are rising at a rapid rate. And in actual fact, mask wearing on public transport, in crowded places, isn't going to stop businesses from opening. Businesses can still open. But there's a huge issue of people who will have to travel on public transport to get to work. Even the regional mayors have mentioned this. The chair of the BMA has spoken out about it today. Just dropping the obligation to wear masks all at once at this particular time when cases are going up is just the wrong thing to do.
Carol, thank you very much. That's Carol Binks, disability rights campaigner. Well, do you think